Hey, this is Wayne. And before we jump into today's podcast, I just want to let you know that we're brought to you today by our friends at Creating a Masterpiece. Creating a Masterpiece does incredible work. They want to awaken the picture smarts in your kids. And they do that by taking different art projects that they communicate online and in some different curriculum, and they help your kid go step by step through different art projects from painting to drawing to sculpture to pottery. It's really dynamic. I want to encourage you, if you're looking for something to awaken the picture smarts in your kids this year, to check them out. You can just do that by going to creatingamasterpiece.com. Again, that's creatingamasterpiece.com. Now let's get to the podcast.
I've been talking to some young people, they don't know what lonely feels like. Like, they don't know if being alone means they're lonely. Because I talk about being alone a lot, I'm a single adult, I'm very content, and I'll say to the young people I work with that I'm single, and I'll say that I'm alone but not lonely. There's a difference. You don't have to be lonely when you're alone. You don't have to make that claim, you don't have to believe that lie. Just because you're alone and there's no one else in the room with you doesn't mean that you are suffering by being alone. So I'd be curious to know, how do they ask the questions that have caused people to say this?
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby. Not every light is gonna guide you.
So, Dr. Kathy, today on the Celebrate Kids podcast, in this daily segment, Facing the Dark, I want to look at loneliness pandemic, really, that we are starting to see. About 1 in 6 people worldwide are affected by loneliness, and the percentage is highest among kids that are 13 to 17 years old. It's about 20%, or 1 in 5. That's according to some recent reports from the World Health Organization's Commission on Social Connection. Teens who reported feeling lonely were 22% more likely to get lower grades in school, the report also found. Some experts point to smartphones as the main culprit in the uptick in loneliness, but past research actually shows that owning one isn't necessary for the issue to happen. Kids using their phones to be active on social media is what can result in some mental health problems. For example, being unfriended on social media or getting bullied for posting a picture online could lead to feelings of depression or anxiety. But as we've understood and talked about here on the podcast, sometimes technology is actually just an amplifier for something else that's been going on. And some experts are now pointing to a problem that's they believe is exacerbating the issue. They call it phubbing, where people who are physically present in the same space are really ignored because other people are distracted, sometimes using their phones or other things, interacting with other people rather than interacting with that person. That has an impact on the quality of relationships and can really make some of this data really sing and kind of say something about this cultural moment. So I want to ask you, Dr. Kathy, what do you make of this new data that we're finding on loneliness?
I'm glad that people are still researching it because loneliness is unhealthy. Living in isolation, not feeling like you have people who you can trust to lift you up is a sad and somewhat scary place to be. So I'm glad that we're still looking at the research. Not really surprised that it's the 13 to 17-year-olds who are showing um, more negative effect of this. They don't know who they are, so they don't know who to hang with. They're overwhelmed, they're busy, so they don't have a lot of time for relationships, I think is another thing that's happening. We've got school and sports and youth group and a job after school, so I think that could be an issue, which is interesting. Another thing that would be fun for you and I to look at, Wayne, would be, what are the questions they're asking that are proving that they're lonely? Because I've been talking to some young people, they don't know what lonely feels like. Like, they don't know if being alone means they're lonely. Because I talk about being alone a lot, I'm a single adult, I'm very content, and I'll say to the young people I work with that I'm single, and I'll say that I'm alone but not lonely. There's a difference. You don't have to be lonely when you're alone. You don't have to make that claim, you don't have to believe that lie. Just because you're alone and there's no one else in the room with you doesn't mean that you are suffering by being alone. So I'd be curious to know, how do they ask the questions that have caused people to say this?
Dr. Kathy, that makes me wonder a little bit when we look at this data, especially because I don't remember feeling lonely. I remember feeling alone, but I think that there's a dynamic way that we look at it. When somebody's lonely, we kind of attribute other ideas to it, right? Like depression, anxiety, failure to launch. There's all kinds of other things that kind of pull into this. And I want to ask you, are kids today more lonely than they were in the past? Is this a new issue, or do you think that, having loneliness is just a part of, human development, and it's good for us to sometimes, so to speak, kind of cut our teeth or experience, build the muscle. Common, those aren't, necessarily pleasure filled experiences. I would hate to cut a tooth as a 40-year-old person. I'm so glad that I cut my teeth when I was a little kid and I don't remember any of it because the pain is ridiculous. But I don't know if that's just also the reality of loneliness, that it's just something that you have to go through when you're a teenager. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I think you're right that a lot of us had times where we were alone, but we didn't panic. We didn't have the media telling us it was a problem. We didn't have X and social media and, all the things. We didn't have, the loud, crowded culture that would make us feel like if we're not in the loud, crowded culture, there's something wrong with us. Those are all lies from the devil, in my opinion. It's also true that many of our parents are busier today. There are more single parent homes. There are more um, just busy parents who maybe don't have the kind of time for their children that maybe our parents had for us. I think there's lots and lots of issues here. Again, I think, one of the lies that we teach in our technology work is that I am the center of my own universe. So if people have read Screens and Teens or heard any of our podcasts about technology has taught children to believe that they can be the center of it all. They post on social media, they look for the like factor, they look how many reels, how many shares did their reel get. They can, undo mistakes, they can autocorrect their pictures, they feel like they can reboot lives. They feel like everybody knows them. It's all about numbers. It's not about maybe a quality relationship, if you will. And so here's what pastors are telling me. No, if I'm a young person and I believe that I'm the center of my own universe, I don't need anybody. Wayne, if I think I'm the center, why would I need you? I would need you to affirm that I'm the center. But you can't affirm that I'm the center because you also think that you're the center. Because you also have your social media feed and your Instagram reels and the people that you're following that you're pretty sure know that you're following them. And so when I talk to young people and I share this lie that I am the center of my own universe, there's an audible gasp. They write it down. I ask them to raise their hand if they see that it's relevant for their lives or people they know, and the hands go up. And what we don't think about is the ramifications of that. We're not the center, God is. But if we think we're the center, then we get to boss people around and we get to be noticed and we're the influential people and we're the popular ones. And if you work for that, you're going to be disappointed because you can't control all of that. So, and then I just would briefly say too that another lie, Wayne, that we see in the culture is this happy lie, right? Where I deserve to be happy all the time. Like I'm going to do what I want when I want it, the way I want it. And I'm not answering the phone if I'm not in the mood. And, we have kids that are dropping out of school like flies because it doesn't make them happy. So if you think you're happy, like if you think that you're supposed to be happy all the time, then it's easy to reject people. That it's that person's turn to call me back. I called, she called, I called. Now it's her turn to call. I'm waiting for her to call me. I don't need to call her. It's her turn. And we just treat it like, no, keep me happy, make me happy. It's all about me. And that would cause anyone to become lonely.
Dr. Kathy, with that, what should parents do in this moment where there just seems to be such a push or a feeling of a cultural loneliness mood right now?
I think we call it out. I think if our kids are isolating, if they complain about being lonely, if we know that they're not being invited over, they're not inviting people over, they tend to avoid the fellowship. Maybe they go to a youth group, the nights of learning, but they avoid all the Friday night parties. Maybe they go to high school football games, but they don't go to the after party, at the restaurant. Then I think we ask about that. What's going on relationally? Are you not confident? Have you been teased or bullied? Do you not know, how to have a conversation? Have you been treated like an outsider, even though you're an insider? How can we help you? I think, we teach friendship skills, right, Wayne, in the book Five to Thrive in the belonging chapter. We have a 4-page spread of friendship skills because people are complex. And when you don't know who you are with confidence, you don't know how to present yourself confidently to a group of people. So I think if I were parenting kids and I was wondering about why do they turn down social invitations, why do they show up at youth group at the last minute rather than early for fellowship, I would talk to the kids and I would say, what's going on? Are you making these choices? Why are you making the choices? How can I help you? Not can I help, but how can I help you? Is there anything that I can do that would be a blessing? And another thing that I would love us to do in the cultural moment, Wayne, is share how we do it. Again, and you've heard me say this recently on a podcast, perhaps, are we modeling before our young adults and our teenagers that people matter to us? Are we putting people in the room first? Are we going out of the way to follow through? Are we calling a friend who had an emergency a week ago to find out what the progress has been? Are we joyful about our people? Do we love quickly? Do we forgive obediently? Are we relating well? And do our kids see that we can struggle too, but we don't give up? Let's model for them that people are worth investing in.
As Dr. Kathy and I were talking today, it reminded me of kind of an obscure passage that comes out of Jeremiah chapter 39. I'll begin reading at verse 15. While Jeremiah had been confined in the courtyard of the guard, the word of the Lord came to him. Go and tell Ebed-Melech the Cushite, this is what the Lord God Almighty says. I am about to fulfill my words against this city, words concerning disaster, not prosperity. At that time, they will be fulfilled before your eyes. But I will rescue you on that day, declares the Lord. You will not be given over to the hands of those you fear. I will save you. You will not fall by the sword, but will escape with your life, because you trust in me, declares the Lord. This passage comes at a pretty challenging time for Israel. Jerusalem is under incredible siege from the Babylonians. It's going to collapse. It happens in the 6th century. And Jeremiah is labeled a traitor. He's thrown into this muddy cistern to die. But this guy, Ebed-Melech, a foreign eunuch, who's really double marginalized inside of Judah's court, comes in and follows the Lord. As an outsider with little social capital, Ebed-Melech risks everything to go to the king and appeal to rescue Jeremiah with a small company of men and some old rags and ropes. If you read the passage, it's out of Jeremiah 38 and 39. It's humble and quiet courage that comes from the margins of society. And that's who Ebed-Melech is. He's lonely. He is marginalized. He doesn't fit in. And yet the Lord calls him. And his quiet faithfulness ends up coming and rescuing Jeremiah and giving a strong word to the king in Jerusalem. After the rescue, the word of the Lord comes personally to Ebed-Melech. God will deliver him when the city falls, because you have put your trust in me, God says. Now, in a world where power speaks loudly, God singles out a hidden believer and gives him a concrete promise, his life as a prize. Confidence blooms from trust in God's word amid political ruin. God sees the faithful of the forgotten and folds outsiders into his care. Works of mercy flow from trust, not from a need to earn standing. The Lord's promise, not status, becomes a refuge. I think as parents, we can invite our kids to notice and help those who are often overlooked, especially as we start into a new school year. Let's start talking today about the new student or the quiet neighbor. Let's also give courage to our kids if they're the ones that feel like they don't belong or like they're kind of on the outside. Let's pray that same promise that the Lord gave to Ebed-Melech, that the Lord knows those who trust in him. Confidence grows as they learn that God's eye is on the small and the brave. And let's give them that courage and that confidence today. And as you go throughout your day, just thank you for thinking of Celebrate Kids and supporting the ministry that God has us on. Today, Dr. Kathy is talking to more people about our new books, Raising Gender Confident Kids. And this weekend, we actually get to travel to another school and give some more encouragement to more teachers who are going to have incredible opportunities to speak truth and wisdom and to awaken the smarts in their kids. Thanks for being a part of that. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here at Celebrate Kids. And thanks for listening to this daily segment, Facing the Dark, of the Celebrate Kids podcast. My name is Wayne Stender, and on behalf of Dr. Kathy Cook, we're looking forward to seeing you here again tomorrow.